So, hello, welcome Gemma Norris into my little Pathways to Abundance lounge today, where we will be talking all things spirit and your work and looking at your astrology charts live. We are literally doing like a live experiment. You ask me questions. What's the most supportive thing that's going on right now? And hopefully, me plus your charts will be able to answer those questions for you. So, just for the record, it's the 27th of June 2023. And first of all, Gemma, would you just introduce yourself before we dive into this?
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Rachel. I'm feeling like a little flutter of excitement with this now. I can just feel it's going to be quite big. So who am I? What am I? So I'm a health therapist, hands-on body work. So one-to-one, which is developed from being more the physical to the whole shebang. It's the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the energetics. It's everything. It's about what your physical is coming up. And is it a past life? Is it ancestral imprinting? It's really just grown, and I'm truly recognizing that if you look at something just on the physical, you're not going to get past what is really presenting to you, because we are here to shift. I call it shifting our shite. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, Rachel, but it's
Yes,
kind of,
you're allowed.
I'm allowed. Okay, excellent. And it's really, we're shifting our shite, basically. All the stuff, the old belief systems, the old patterns, everything that we are carrying in our conscious, our unconscious, our subconscious, to move, to come to a higher state of being, a healthier state of being, and happier. And so that's what I do with my one-to-one work. And also listening to what people's soul purpose is as well, where you can, so it's all starting to come through, which is really exciting, because this has been a matter of trust in myself. Because if you start talking past lives, imprinting, ancestral, heritage, people, you naturally assume someone's going to kind of go poof, you're a bit of a spook. And I've literally just gone into that state of trust, and the more I've trusted it, it's expanded. So that's what I do one-to-one. And then equally, I, since COVID, decided I wanted to bring in a better message about health empowerment. And I didn't like the messages that were being put there about fear and hiding. And I thought, well, you're completely disempowering people. And when you get into that state of hopelessness, you're freezing your nervous system. And I was thinking, this isn't healthy. And so I thought, right, rather than just focus on what I'm not liking, I'm going to focus on what I do, on what I can do. And that was about creating something called the Infinity Health Hub, which is about awareness that creates conscious choices. So people can start to be empowered in their own health. But alongside that, it's about empowering Mother Earth and healing Mother Earth. Because the more toxic we make our planet, the more toxic we are. This is why cancer, everything else is just increasing, because of our toxicity. Vitality balance has shifted. And we will heal the planet through our own healing. And that's where I am, little me.
Wow, when you said the word
come up with that.
When you said the word toxic, it was like the whole Pluto thing just exploded again. And just for context, where we are at the moment in the cosmos is that Pluto has gone retrograde. So that means, from the perspective of the Earth, Pluto appears to be going backwards, and it goes into like a review period. So on our system, Pluto now in retrograde motion, it stays retrograde for about 5 months out of every 12. That's why it's so slow moving forward. It's like taking 12 steps forward and 10 steps back. That's what we do pretty much every year. So we get to move forward very, very slowly, but also to review what happened the last time Pluto was at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, 29 degrees is like a completion energy, because there are only 30 degrees of each zodiac sign. So we've been in Pluto in Capricorn since can't remember the date, something of September 2008, and within a week of Pluto going into Capricorn, the Lehman Brothers Bank collapsed, plunging the world into a worldwide recession. So it was very clear. It was like Pluto changing signs makes stuff happen on Earth. So ever since, like, the effect of Pluto is really to go underneath the surface, to go underground, and to assess what's really happening underneath. So, as you say, shift out your shite.
Yes.
Now, on a physical material level, people who have like Pluto active in their charts, they might be psychotherapists. They might be, I mean, on a very literal level, they could be sex therapists. They could be, because it rules, Pluto and Scorpio rules all of the lower elimination functions of the body.
Okay.
So it's reproduction and also elimination. So it's life, death, birth, regeneration, sex, rebirth. So all
that completely makes sense, because we're really in this sacral energy. See, I see that as my sacral chakra, and it's about the liberation of that.
Yes.
The joy center, the pleasure center, but we have to see our shadows first.
Yes. So all aspects of all of that, of anywhere we've been disempowered, if we've been holding on to our shit in any way, shape, or form, it needs to have this explosion. This is disgusting, isn't it? We've already plunged into disgusting language.
Sex, shit. We're shifting our shites, really.
all of that. And then it's also on psychic level, on, you know, that what's driving the underlying energy. And there's also, like, you know, just as an example, in the material world, somebody might choose to be an archaeologist. They literally go digging for stuff. It's like they're digging up the past selves, digging up old stories and treasures. But in a way, it's a really good story metaphor for what we do when we engage in very deep spiritual practice or trauma therapy, or anything, literally anything, in body work, in stabilizing the nervous system. It's like going back to factory reset. Who am I underneath all the shit that was handed to me?
Completely. And I see that as finding your truth, and the old BS systems, or belief systems, or bullshit, whichever one will call it, but it's kind of the stories that are there that are blocking our pureness, which is love, joy, and peace. That's ultimately what we are underneath this plaque that humanity has created with fear, and we're breaking free from that. But often, when everything feels like it's falling apart, we can feel like we're breaking down and trying to cling on to the old, because that's what we've known as our control, the illusion. But when you go deeper, which is what I do with meditation, actually, it's going right down to the depth of Mother Earth, the pureness, the pure beauty, and allowing that to come up. And then you're connecting to your purest essence, to be here, to be joy, to be happy. We're not here to get worked, stressed hard, and die, are we? We're actually here for some greater purpose. So
yeah, I love the fact, when we spoke before, I love the fact that you are able to see what's going on with Mother Earth. You're able to go into the depths and bring the pure energy up, whereas my whole experience is of connecting with the higher realms and the light, and having that white pillar of light channel, and bringing that down into the human vessel and reading that through the charts of the person in front of me. So I feel that there's a very good sort of symbiotic energy of both, because really it's that merging of the pure energy of Mother Earth coming up and the energy of whatever we choose to call universal source spirit coming down. Is that how you've experienced
completely? I see it as we cannot be this spiritual and connected if we're not grounded. And I have recognized that, not just in health, but actually the more grounded we are, we can sustain the spiritual. So whereas often through trauma, we tend to go out of body. If it's certainly a body experience, we go off. Yeah. And you tend to sort of live up here, which feels nicer sometimes, but actually it's not doing anything, and it actually has to come into your body, into the earth, for it to happen. And I've noticed that because of all this energetic upgrades that we're getting, if we're trying to understand it, it can frazzle the nervous system. So it's actually like allowing the lightning bolt to come through, give it to the earth through our bodies, and then the earth transmutes that into an energy that we can take on. It activates it,
I love that perspective. I needed to know you probably 20 years ago.
I needed to know me 20 years ago.
All right, let's take a look at your chart, shall we?
Perfect. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? So hang on a sec, I'm going to change this over. So first of all, let's take a look at your natal chart, which is on the inside of this wheel here. And thank you for giving me permission to share this. You're really okay about it, aren't you? Which is
no problem at all. I love it.
Yeah. And then on the outside of the wheel, these green planets are the current arrangement today, 27th of June, of the planets in our solar system. So we just get a really quick snapshot of what's going on. So we see Sun in Cancer, Mercury right on the cusp of Cancer. So this probably will feel quite nice to you because it's going through your sign that you have your Sun in and that you have Jupiter in. And also, one thing that feels really correct for the clients who are coming to me at this time is that if they see people for one-to-one work, as you do, the seventh house really feels supportive of that contractual one-to-one client relationship that you have. So this is really shining a light and giving, adding Mercury energy. So you're speaking with people in these peer relationships that are contractually arranged, where there's this support and interdependent support for another person as we help another on their healing journey.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful nurturing energy. You know, Cancer is very much in touch with the changing, shifting tides, the tides of emotion, and also with Mother Earth and of the concepts of nurturing. So taking people under your wing and saying, I've got you.
Okay. Yeah, completely. It's about holding that safe space for people to, it's weird, it's actually they trust you first before they trust themselves, but it's that bridge. You create this space that they go, I trust you, and then you basically mirror it back for them to go to trust themselves, their body. So yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Which is then empowering. Then once you can trust yourself, you're off, aren't you, really?
Yes, absolutely. Ah, wonderful. Now, on your natal chart, just as a quick kind of recap, because you were talking about Pluto, and I would like you to mention that in a minute.
Okay.
Looking at your natal Pluto, that's at 14 degrees of Libra. Now we are in the Pluto in Libra generation. As I say, Pluto moves very slowly. Pluto was in Libra when we were born in 1978. Okay. So our generation are really bringing balance, like Libra, weighing things up and bringing balance to some area of life. Now, there are so many ways in which we are all working to bring things back into balance that have been out of balance. We could probably we could do like a brainstorm and just go like a list of 20 off the top of our heads of things that need to be brought back into balance. Body, mind, spirit, masculine and feminine, power imbalances. There's literally so much. Now, you're bringing yours through the 9th house of spirituality and teaching and mysticism. And it's this kind of universal knowing and truth seeking and then truth speaking. So a desire to accumulate knowledge, but then to do something with it and present it back to others, like in a teaching capacity, but really knowledge sharing. I think yeah, the word teacher feels a little bit draconian for what we're actually doing. It's basically passing on knowledge that we become an expert in. And Libra is also about justice. So it's bringing justice to where people have felt the underdog, victimized, had trauma.
That's massive for me. Like if I see injustice, it's like fires me up completely. So makes sense.
And I believe that everyone is carrying traumas, everyone. And a lot of them are unconscious. And if we have unconscious trauma, how do we ever know where to find healing, or even that we need it? So we could be running so many belief systems that have come from other people. We don't even know. What is it that we're actually trying to achieve here? It feels like something's out of balance. How do we bring that back into balance?
Yeah. And I think that's where awareness, and that's everything that I'm seeking to teach, is people can make their own choices. So here's your awareness. So you can go away and make your own conscious choices. That's the key. To empower them, because everyone's different. Everything will have a different resonance to something. And
absolutely. And that really, for me, that really speaks to your moon in Aquarius, because Aquarius, and I observe this wherever people have Aquarius in their chart, I'm really curious about it, or whether there's a planet there. Because with Aquarius, it's like a given that you see everybody as an equal. It would be such a no-brainer. It's like, of course, everyone's equal on a soul level. Of course, we all are. And therefore, it makes a lot of societal constructs, such as the hierarchical systems of patriarchal society, the control dynamic that's built into that, it makes it seem ridiculous. And like, how quickly can we actually just knock that down, please?
Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing it's coming down. And I've seen that COVID, interestingly, if you take it out from actually what it is, but the bigger picture of it was actually brought everything that was wrong, that's always been there, up to the surface. So if you can take it from us physically, for me and everything I've seen, it's gone to the point of inflammation, which is where there's heat and friction and there's lack of coherence and balance in the body. It brings that up to the surface into your different symptoms that everybody experienced. And for me, it brought up my kidneys and my bladder, which is where deep fear is rooted, which I've done a lot of healing with. But it's also done that with society. It's brought up all the shadows of society that have always been there. There's always been corruption. There's always been an imbalance of power. And it's there to be seen on this stage now for people to be aware and then to decide what they're going to do about it.
Yes.
That's where, yeah.
That is so interesting. And I think it's a very interesting point that you make there, for people to take that away as a point of self-reflection, almost like a journaling thing. What was the thing that stood out for you during that whole period, and what came up for you? Now, for me, I watched the leaders like a hawk, because I'm so, as a trained business lecturer, a performance improvement trainer, as somebody who spent a lot of years doing leadership and management training in the workplace, I've got that knowledge, and I've watched, and I've been in a transformational place of leaders, and it's like, oh, now I see what I was doing in my human self. The 3D self was building up those skills so that I can go, what's going on with leadership? And I would watch them and be able to spot all of the language, the underlying energies. I mean, to me, it's just hysterical. It's almost like the news reporting is a few years behind what we've just seen.
And also the energy that's been behind it as well. And it's like, is it of good intention? Is it of love? And I don't mean love is just, what you do, you have interaction with your, personal people or your intimate relationships. Love is this compassion, it's empathy, it's seeking the greater good for everybody. Or whereas fear, there's a separation.
Yes.
And a lot of it still has an undertone of fear.
Yeah, and a lot of control. And it was like,
yes.
Yeah, here's the paternal big government telling you what to do. It's for your own good.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I think we're still seeing it, still hasn't having that ripple effect. It's still going.
Absolutely. And you see, we had this 4-month period where Pluto went into Aquarius. So from March to June, we had this like little window of opportunity where we got like a sneak preview of what will happen when Pluto goes into Aquarius. So power to the people, where we eradicate those old hierarchical structures, we stop giving away our power, we take back control. Ironically, the Brexit campaign slogan, but we could have taken it on a spiritual level. We actually take back some control and we go, wow, okay, power to the people as individuals, which is very much what you're doing with Infinity Health Hub by saying, make conscious choices about your own health.
Yes, and I've really recognized that it's about giving people their power back. So power isn't actually overpowering somebody else. That's actually just fear, and it's not really, that's just an illusion, whereas power is about you owning your own.
Exactly.
And everything that I'm doing or seeking or wanting to choosing to do is about giving people their power back and for them to find that power. So it's all about giving them the keys to unlock their power.
And realizing that they have the keys.
They have the keys, we just don't have it. We're just in this, we've been, I don't know, we've just been very quietened. We haven't had that awareness, whereas that's coming through. And I guess there's different leaders that are coming up in a different way. It's not about leading to tell you this is what you should do. It's about the leading of example and how I walk my talk. And this is how I show up in the world. And here's the alternative. And you can choose, do you do that? And I think a lot of us are stepping up with that vulnerability but there's a courage, but with trust with it to go, here's the alternative. And you start creating a bridge through what would have been a completely misty, I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm just going to follow my heart. And then all of a sudden you're somewhere else. And then you can create this space and this bridge for others to come to it.
Absolutely, it's very, very beautiful. And interestingly, you have Uranus, which I always see as being the planet that is the bridge between the human body and the divine. It's like the 8th chakra. You have your you have your Uranus very close. It's actually at the end of the 10th house, but very close to your 11th house. And 11th house is where we share with like-minded individuals in groups. So it's where we naturally organize ourselves around groups. And it also rules technology. So Uranus rules technology, and so does the 11th house, because it's associated with Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius. And it's like that notion of the age of Aquarius is the positive use of technology to be able to give power to the people. It is a level playing field in many ways, where we all have a platform to be able to say what we want. We're starring in our little TV show today.
Yes. Yeah. Completely. Yes.
And we get to say this. And interestingly enough, you're in the Uranus in Scorpio generation, as am I. So you're bringing awareness to these scorpionic issues. So it's bringing awareness again to those elimination processes. What are we trying to eliminate from our lives, from our bodily systems? You brought up kidneys and sacral and the whole intestines and all of that. It's all of the body's elimination processes. And it's like, what are we trying to eliminate? Are we eliminating? And then there's so many layers of that. Are we eliminating punishing self-talk?
Yes. Well, that is a massive thing that I've had to shift to self-sabotage, and that constant disbelief, distrust, not enough, not good enough, all that. I've had to really transition through that to get to where I am now. If you'd looked at where, if I thought I'd be here now doing this, I'd have just balked it and went, not a chance. Whereas it's been these little steps.
Yes.
But yeah, that's.
And this, I'm sure this will resonate with so many people. And, you know, particularly if you do also have these, there's a really high chance that if you have Uranus in Scorpio, you will also have Pluto in Libra, Neptune in Sagittarius, possibly Chiron in Taurus. All of these are indicators of a generation. So we are working on the same things together. And, you know, if I go back in my memory to, say, 2012, when I first started going, I'm going on my Me Too journey. Oh my gosh, I might actually need to heal from this stuff. And then also healing at the same time from, I'm actually a person who speaks to spirit. I can hear, I can see. Oh, wow, this might be a good journey of reclamation. What would happen if I leaned into this? And you think you're the only one going through it, except the internet. There's the internet, and you're meeting these anonymous strangers who've got similar stories, and you go, oh, I'm not the only one. Wow.
No.
And
Yeah.
then it expands and expands, and you go, oh my gosh, we're all doing the same work. How much better does it feel to be able to say we are doing it together now?
Exactly, and it's just, I see that as like an affiliation effect where you've started to ripple, and when you've gone into that state of trust, because most of the time you fear speaking your truth or fear speaking about spirituality or those other aspects because of all the humanity that's created, like the witch, the witch burning and the drowning and the whole kind of like 60,000 women were tortured and killed just for being women. And you think how much that has been suppressed to be openly spiritual or energetic, or whatever what label you want to put on it. And when you start speaking up in your heart with trust and truth, which is heart and throat chakra, it's you start creating a wave and a frequency that other people can tune into, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So
yes, and it is baby steps, isn't it? You know, all along the way. It's okay for us to sit here today and say that, but when I think about the number of years and spirals around that it's taken to get to this point, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people. It's so rare that someone just wakes up and that's it.
yeah,
You know,
that's it.
we've got so much human issues, human traumas, and old belief systems and emotions to navigate along the way.
Completely. I mean, just me doing a video and putting it on Facebook scared the shit out of me. So the fact that I'm here doing this and just doing guided meditations with my eyes shut, going on, no, I'm not doing that. But in terms of just channeling and just letting that happen, that's just this huge shifting for me. But they're little steps. And I think you have also, because it's very easy to kind of go, well, what else have I got to be doing? What else can I be doing? And I need to be doing this. And actually, sometimes it's really about just taking stock of where you've come from. And I remember having a moment of I started to cry when I recognized that actually, wow, I've done so much and just gave myself a break and celebrated myself. And that just felt really, really good. And you can do that every day if you want.
And if anybody listening has not stopped to give yourself a pat on the back, do it now.
Yeah.
Take that lesson from Gemma.
Yeah. Own your worth and just know that you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful actually, because it leads into this lovely Neptune on your ascendant that you've got here. Like I say, we all have this, anyone born in Neptune in Sagittarius that has this desire to move their universal love. So love for literally everything in this universe, love for the collective, love for your spiritual self, love that extends out. It's like that higher heart. How much higher and bigger can we make that? How expansive can we make that? And to know that we're working with these collective energies, but we are our own parts and owning our own story. It feels very much that your Neptune there, when we have an outer planet that sits somewhere that basically makes contact with a very interesting and personal part of our chart, as yours does, sitting on the ascendant, and also with personal planets. So yours is also connected with Venus, connected with Mercury, connected with Moon. They're the fastest moving planets that we have in our solar system. And
Right.
these are all feeding into your teaching from a higher perspective, Neptune. And it's sitting there right on who you are. So I just want to say, I know we did this in your reading that you came for, but I just want to kind of convey this because there's a way that you have a very beautiful energy and the way that you express things that I feel is meant for a lot of people at the same time. And you don't have to overthink it. It's not like, it doesn't come across like you've read it in a book. It comes across like you know it and you mean it. And
Yeah,
I know that's
completely.
because you do.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I have to make sure that Miss Perfectionist doesn't come in too much, and just kind of just trust and go with that. And like there is this inner knowing, but without the outside teaching. And it's interesting, you look at Neptune and Venus and the moon. For me, that's all about the sacral energy. It's from a chakra, the Venus, the moon, all relates to the sacrum. The fact Neptune is that more, you'd say, water. It feels it's that water, which again is related to that.
Yeah, it's the ruler of Pisces. So it's the ruler of endings, of the collective, of swimming in the collective ocean. You know, Neptune is the god of the ocean.
And then you've got Mercury, which is the throat chakra.
Correct.
So right, okay, so we're going to go. So for me right now, it's about connecting my sacrum to my throat. And to actually, when you connect those two from a pleasure perspective, fascially, they're connected. Like, so from a woman, I've not really looked into for men, but for the whole vulva and the deep fascia within the yoni, it's all to do linking to the throat. So, and about being able to open your throat, be able to allow that energy to come up. So again, like, okay, I'm just going to say out loud about orgasms, about allowing that to kind of really come up. And the more I've worked here, the more I've been able to let that through. Because I'll share a real personal story here, but for me, it's been, sex since having children and stuff just completely shut down. It just, and I recognized that it was trauma.
Right.
As my inner child was trying to heal, but I didn't know that.
Okay.
And that just shut me down. So from orgasms, connection, just completely switched off. And now, since been doing this real deep work, it's shifting, it's moving.
Wow.
So if it can work a little bit quicker,
amazing.
Pleasure, who knows? So.
I really feel like you were talking about your Venus in Virgo there, because where we see a square, and not to detract from your story at all, it's almost like I was saying in a planetary fashion. It's almost like the story you just shared was saying Venus, because Venus for a woman is everything about her attraction and magnetic, like abundant, what she loves, what she values, who she is on every level. And that's our abundance. That's how we magnetize people into us. And your Venus is in the 8th house in Virgo. Now, Virgo is many things, and I don't want this to be a masterclass on Virgo, although that would be very interesting in itself. But Virgo, I see, and you have a few planets in Virgo there, as well as a North Node. Now, Virgo is very connected with bodies and health and with the environment and with other people's bodies. It's like a real knowing, a full knowing in your body. So it's like your Venus has been wanting to get itself expressed and to come out. And I feel like it's almost as though the energy has probably been going back and forth between Neptune here and also Uranus. So you will have brought, you know, Uranus is very different. That's like, boom, lightning bolt. I know it. It can't be unknown. And taking in those lightning bolts of awareness, but also working with the difficulty of how do I transmute this into a real higher love, because you know that you're here for this, you know, Neptune on your ascendant. It's like you've got this legacy to leave, you've got this message to share that is for a lot of people. And to open up your throat when all that's going on and you're just possibly in the past maybe being like trapped inside this one human female body, and you're like, there's something else that wants to come out here.
And for me, it was never allowed. Expression wasn't there, so complete the fear of opening up here. It's huge, not only from my experiences, but I guess through the whole ancestral lineage as well. You know, we've not been safe to speak our truth, whereas we are safe to speak our truth. Now it's a complete shift.
And we have to feel it, don't we? Because I over the past few years, there were times which I did not feel safe to speak my truth. And I heard people saying, you are now safe to speak your truth. And it didn't work. I was like, I need to
stop feeling it. Yeah.
But it really is about that inner work. And if you don't mind, I would love you to speak about the moon here, because I feel that your moon, I mean, the moon is always very important because it's our heart chakra, it's the emotions, and it's our unconscious emotions, it's our habitual behavior and our deepest intuitive knowing. It's also how we perceive our mother. So it's how we see our mother and the mother wound. And yours is in opposition to, which is hard because oppositions are really hard to balance within the individual energy. Yours is in opposition to your Mercury and then Saturn as well. Saturn less tight, but to your Mercury. So it's almost like there's a heart throat thing going on here. Now for you, it may be that the moon has been in other places other than the heart, but what I'd be looking at in your chart is for an understanding, and I'm looking for you to give your body perspective understanding of your moon, which is the heart and the emotions, and that balancing out how to speak what you want to say. Yeah, so it's like that, it's that balancing thing. I've probably mentioned before about that seesaw of it's like we go, I can look at one or the other. I can be in touch with my emotions, but I can't talk about them, or I can talk about things, but it's not emotional.
Yeah, from a body perspective, it feels so. For moon as well, for me, is about the sacrum, which is where our emotional center is, and where you've got the water, which is 90% in our blood. So our blood is made up of 90% water. So and our bodies are 60 to 70% water, just the same as Mother Earth. She has exactly these same ratios, and a little bit like I'll throw another little one in there, that our heart gradient is very similar, like 33-ish, the same as the gradient of the Earth on her axis. So we have very similar flowing through us. So for that, what you're talking there is about my sacrum, it's my energy center, the joy center, but also, again, as you're talking about the mother, it's what we've inherited through our matriarchal lineage, which interesting is actually what's coming up for me at this moment, about how do we heal these wounds, but also bringing in healthy boundaries, which again then comes to throat expression. So you bringing in that balance is about, here are my emotions, I'm going to listen to it. So it's not, communication is all about us listening to ourselves, because if we don't know what we're thinking or we're distracting, how are we ever going to be able to communicate that in a way that's from our heart rather than fear? And so it's the balancing of those three is what I'm feeling. It's like, here they are, I bring it to my heart, for my heart to bring the air into it, so to be able to breathe, acknowledge and accept it, and to be with that, to allow it to process, to come up through us. And then the throat is that that release, so that primal release, but it's also bringing the Shashami channel, the energy, the Kundalini, to allow that to come through. So, which is interesting, is that, you know, sex isn't just about pleasure. It's definitely for that, but it's also about allowing that energy to come up through us, to cleanse, to release that stagnancy that's we've been holding, but to also let the unconscious part of our bodies that we're probably holding so many patterns and beliefs through the matriarchal lineage, because they know, you know, you see, as we're growing within the womb, we've got our ovaries, and then that connects through the blood, interchanging through the mother, but the mother would have been in her mother at the same time, and it's just this cycle that's coming through.
I'm fascinated by that. It was a few years ago I suddenly latched on to grandmother energy, and the fact that, you know, we are all tiny little ovaries. We are the egg inside our mother's ovaries when she was growing inside her mother. It's like, oh
yeah, completely. And if you think about it, it just goes right back to humanity, to whenever humanity started. So and we are here now shifting those shadows, and which is what I recently wrote about, was about the base chakra, and the sacrum, in terms of the balance of money, sex, control, power, and how it's been very imbalanced, how it's all been misused, because the sacrum and energy is a lot to do with money, but it's bringing the balance of the masculine and the feminine.
This is very interesting, because your moon here is in the second house, and the second house is everything that we value: ourselves, our emotions, our self-worth, our values, who we attract in, and the money we attract back in exchange for what we give.
Wow.
All of it together. So it feels very powerful that you are speaking so intuitively from a body perspective about your moon, which is in the second house. Because if we asked everybody to speak from their moon, something different would come out. I'd be speaking from the graveyard. I'm moon in the 8th house.
Right.
I'd be talking about a life and death and constant, you know, detachment through the art of living and dying, and
wow,
all of that, and the karmic ties that bind us across lifetimes. I'd probably be going there.
I feel like for you, there's like just bringing some light beams in to connect them, so they're not just little single tracks.
Well, I see everything as like an interconnected golden matrix, where if we are each an individual being, but we can pull on a thread, and if that thread connects to somebody else somewhere else in this quantum multiverse, we will be able to potentially see that, heal from it, heal others, do whatever. You know, there's a lot that goes on in unseen areas for me. You know, I would say that the unseen is my specialism, but yours is clearly coming from a body perspective. That's where your intuition is seated and powerful.
Yeah, that really, but for a lot of my life, I've been out of my body. I've rejected it, bulimia, just kind of never thought it was enough. And actually, when I started to start the story of like, I love myself, to break down those conditioning that to say you love yourself somehow has arrogance attached to it, which is what, you know, to love someone and lay them up themselves is seen as very derogative. Whereas, so it was breaking down all that old conditioning of actually to say you love yourself is fucking beautiful and should never be taken away from you. And so yeah, that's literally gone from I'm willing to love myself was the first step. Just for me to say I love myself, just I was a complete rejection. Did not like it. Just like that does not resonate with me at all. But I'm willing to. And that is when my journey started.
Beautiful. It is very powerful to hear another human being say that they love themselves. Very powerful.
Yeah, and it just comes from a space of just just love. It's not an ego going, I need to be something, to be seen as something. Because actually, when you hold that space of self-love and acceptance, which I'll always have to keep growing, I'm not there. It's not the final piece. There'll always be something of another level or a layer to bring into acceptance. But yeah, it's when you're in that space, you're then in your authentic self, which is when you're open and then and talking, your resonance, people will hear from their heart.
Yes.
That's when they know it's truth, rather than this listening and trying to logicalize it just goes boom into someone's heart and then they've got it.
It does. And I don't know about you, but I experience listening with all the cells of my body. And sometimes I can feel if a person says something, I will notice, oh, I felt that in my fingertips, or I felt that in my legs. I will notice where I hear another person's truth.
Wow. That's lovely. That's so lovely.
It
Yeah,
is,
but
it's really
yeah, and
nice.
it's about awakening that for everyone else. And I don't know why I suddenly got to feel the need to it, but we talk about artificial intelligence coming through, which is the technology that's come, and the narrative is like we have to get used to it. Well, we don't. That's one thing. We could actually say no, we don't want this. But equally, on the other side of that is actually teaching us to listen with our hearts, to actually listen to the truth that's in us, rather than what these senses are trying to tell us, that we'll just go around in a circle, whereas it's a never opportunity to expand our heart consciousness to go, that doesn't feel true, that feels true. Because when we're in our heart, there's only love, there's no fear. So we kind of, that fear, the amygdala, the old belief systems that can get triggered, they just go out of, they're not in it.
Yeah,
So
they don't belong. It's like, bye.
Yeah, when you're in this love space, this mind-heart coherence, everything's then aligned.
Yeah.
And then in that alignment, your central nervous system's aligned, then your healing, your homeostasis, it's all of that. So right from an energetic right down to a physical. So
Beautiful. Can we take a look at your solar return chart?
yeah, let's do it.
So just by way of explanation, if anyone's still with us, hey, here's the solar return chart, and the solar return shows birthday this year to birthday next year. So it's your unique year. So for you, Gemma, it's the 21st of July 2023 to 20th of July 2024. And this is a really powerful way of knowing this is what my chart's energy is directing my life towards and my energy towards this year. And often what I'm finding at the moment in client readings is that somebody will be, a particularly very successful business people will be really attached to the strategy that they've worked very hard on, to all of their inner values work, to their cause and to their core values. And then they see their solar return chart and go, what? This is like a whole other energy to embody. And it's like, no, look, the energy of this year is obviously different to any other year of your life. We are evolving so rapidly, and we are far more intelligent than we give ourselves credit for in multiple ways. I mean, in so many ways. Our body is just so amazingly incredible.
Yeah,
And
it's a miracle.
basically, and our minds, everything is just wonderful. So this really says, hello, this is what you should be doing this following year to kind of stay in energetic alignment. So the first thing that I noticed was your ascendant in Scorpio. So this is like, if you show up this year talking about scorpionic and plutonic things, because Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, then you will be in alignment because people are expecting you, and you're doing it already, people are expecting you to talk about sex, life and death, the real deep transformational processes on every level. We band around in the spiritual industry these days online, we band around all sorts of words that actually have such deep meaning underneath them. Any kind of transformation work is enormous because it takes time to integrate, it takes time to embody. It takes time so that we know what we're talking about. So for you, this year is characterized by Pluto. Okay. Would you like to share what came up for you recently about Pluto?
Yes, oh, completely. It's so I had this, not just the wanting to go to Sardinia, so I've literally just come back from holiday for on my own actually, and just felt like a need to go, and it just just came up. And so when I was there, I was talking to a gentleman that actually lives there, so he knows culture, he knows the history of Sardinia. And as I was talking, I could feel her energy in my body. I could feel it in my hara, in my sacrum. And as I was talking, and I was just openly going what was coming up for me, of the energy that was there. She's so frigging powerful. It's unbelievable. It's to the point where she's linked to Atlantean. It's mass, and he did actually say it's Atlantic energy that's been there, and they have so many sacred sites there. But it felt so feminine, and I know you can look at Mother Earth and go, okay, she's feminine, but there's always a masculine interlation. But this was like huge, and so I just started to go with it, just to trust it, just go with the flow, just sort of see what happened, and do my meditation and my yoga on the beach, like sunrise swims, just to really kind of tune in. And I just started to, which is something that's been coming up for me, is channeling. So I'm channeling a language I don't know. And I'm kind of like, you go for that whole, am I just talking shit? Am I just do like as a kid when you're just kind of like, you're just making this up, and it's kind of, but it was really sort of starting to really come through, and I was starting to do this channeling, which is actually, I've started doing it with my clients as well, and they can feel the energy of that, which is interesting. You said about the vibration of words, and just started to do some movements and sounds and shapes of just intuitively just doing with it, and this image, this thing that I'd drawn around me, I showed it to this gentleman who lives there, and he goes, this is the pomegranate, it's the seed of death, I think it was the symbol, I can't quite remember what he said it was called, and explained that this myth, this Greek myth, how, I think I wrote it down, Poseidon, I think it was, is the daughter of Mother Earth, who's so beautiful that the god of Pluto wanted her so much for himself and took her away. And it was, but obviously then Mother Earth just mourned and mourned and mourned, and there came a compromise of the balance of that she would live 6 months with the Earth, 6 months with Pluto, but she took a pomegranate seed that she shouldn't have done, and then she stayed down in the Earth, and that was it. That was the end of the daughter. She never came back to the Earth. And which is a really interesting how he explained that. And then as I was doing more work and listening to, Pluto was starting to come out with a never symbol that I did, but it was more about the opening of it. So the first symbol was like the key to connect, and the other one was like an opening, a softening, a flowering kind of, and I could feel that energy of Mother Earth was that she might have compromised, but she never liked it. She did not want to compromise. It was her daughter, and she should have stayed there, and it was a misuse of power. And it was a balanced compromise. It wasn't happy compromise. It was just that. And I could feel that hatred underneath about what had happened, and that simmering of this isn't right, but it was the masculine misuse of power, which I guess we could talk about what Ghost has gone through humanity from a male female perspective. But so interesting as I connected to sorry,
were you feeling it from a human mother perspective, as in the female form on this earth has been suppressed by the patriarchy, which is represented by Pluto, god of the underworld? Were you feeling it on that kind of masculine feminine imbalance?
Oh, good question. It was just like just an inner knowing kind of feeling. It wasn't trying to give it too much understanding. If I, because none of it, I knew what I was, had no intellect.
Yes.
Thought.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I couldn't kind of let that ego or whatever come in to try and understand it. It
Yeah,
was
you were
literally
just bringing it through
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And then I was like, well, this has just happened. And they read it and they go, oh, this is the translation. I'm like, oh, I'm not going crackers. Lovely. I'm going to bring this on a bit more.
Yeah. And did you feel that, do you know what? It only happened last week. So do you feel that there is a message that you have already integrated from this?
There was definitely a message of remorse from Pluto. There was a definite, I've misused my power here. And interestingly as well, as I connected to this energy, the daughter that was taken was the gold. She has become the gold in our earth, which is where a lot of, tingling down the spine. So it's always, and there was gold on the beach as well, that mined, and there was little flecks of gold. You couldn't take it away. It was just, but it was, she had became the gold in the earth, which is so many cultures have tried to dig up and use as, hierarchy and everything else, and is used for our money. And it's been it's been for that. And so yes, it links in again to the balance of money, sex, control, power, all that
Definitely.
breaking out.
I think that the daffodil is connected with this story because there's a bulb. She lives underground, unseen, for many months of the year, and then she is golden yellow and
Yes.
spring.
Oh yeah, I've got tingle down the spine. Yeah. Yeah, completely. Yeah.
I think that story connected with the daffodil and Persephone is like, you only get to spring up at certain times and then you die off again.
Yeah, she'd go up for 6 months and go down for 6. Yeah. And interestingly, after that day, when I did this opening and this flowering, a cactus flower opened, a yellow flower. I was like,
oh wow, yellow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting here because looking at your Pluto sign in your solar return chart, and this will be very interesting for everyone to look at their own solar return. Wherever Pluto's position is in the sky at the point of your birthday in the birthday year, that gets to be the position that basically flavors your next year. And yours is at 29. Pluto will be still at 29 degrees retrograde right at the end of Capricorn. So for me, this is the flushing out of those old ways of being, and bringing them up for exposure. So we will still be in an exposure time. So whether that's exposing corruption, lies, legalities, whatever, it could be literally anything, couldn't it? It's like bringing the truth of it up to the surface, because only when we have a handle on what's been stuck or repressed or trapped can we actually start to meaningfully address it and work on it and with it to redress some balance. So that's very interesting to me because your Pluto is in the 3rd house of communication.
Okay.
So I feel that you're already a little bit in this energy already. It's like you're stepping into the energy of the solar return.
Yeah, no, I can feel that. And it's, I think a lot of it's talking about my journey and just putting it there and how it's worked for me, and not telling everyone else to do anything differently, but it's knowing that everyone knows that everyone has got their own shit to shift. And the whole mental health issues that we have is because people don't communicate, and they've got the social media. I mean, I even saw people on holiday who were on this most beautiful beach, but all they did was spend time filming themselves, posing and doing all these perfection, and thinking, just enjoy where you are. But everyone's so fixated on an image and having to look a certain way, and it's like, it's nonsense. Just be you, just be whoever you are and your whole spectrum of what we are, and just accept this, because you can't have a rainbow of one color. So let's all just be our uniqueness, and that's actually our gift to this planet. This is where we become these jigsaw pieces to bring this massive picture up together. If we all look the same, it'd be fucking boring and it just wouldn't work. So actually, sorry, I'm glad I'm allowed I can swear.
Yeah, we absolutely need each other to do all of this and to kind of, keep handing the mic around, don't we?
Yes, completely. And so yeah, that's where I am. And it's just coming out of that imposter syndrome. Does anybody really want to hear what I have to say? Am I really that important? It's kind of like, I'll get out of that to look beyond.
Don't you think that actually people do want to hear from somebody who's really down to earth and grounded and real and totally like, somebody you would have met at school or who lives next door? Yeah, actually, we do want to hear those voices because in so many ways, people are absolutely pig sick of giving away their power to anything external. And it's all about that, how amazing you feel when you do magnetize it back into yourself, call back that power.
Yeah. And you call that back on every level.
Exactly. And then we do want to hear the voice of our peers, because we realize that level of peer group interdependence is the new power.
Yeah.
So we're helping each other in those really supportive ways.
Yeah. And I see that as like the earth rising up. So it's about, well, I know you said power to the people, but it's this connection that suddenly becomes very strong. And I saw it very early on, like a web of light, all just interacting, a bit like a dandelion, every single cell, every little seed is interconnected. And we're just bringing another wave of energy and light to expand, and the earth is healing with that. So we are actually here, is what I have intuitively led, is that we are healing the earth through our own healing. We come at it from a health perspective, like, God, I've got this going on for me. what is it that I need to do? You go and do it. But then actually, when you start to shift these old vibrations, these unconscious belief patterns, everything, you're starting to transmute the energy and raise the vibration of the earth the same time as we vibrate our frequency. So in our own joy, in our own health, we start healing the earth at the same time.
Amazing. And do you know what? This is so literal, because let's just take a look at what's happening over on your descendant this year. Jupiter is exactly on your descendant. Now, the descendant is other people. So this is other people who you attract into you, and also what you're here to do with other people. So whether that's one-to-one clients or people you meet in collaboration, or any form of peer contract, like a business partnership, spouse, anyone like this, you are here to create abundance, Jupiter, and to go large with your messages about Taurus, the earth, because it's all interconnected. Yeah.
Wow. No, I was thinking I'd just come up with this amazing stuff. Boom, that's my coding. This is what I'm here for. Could I have known this about 10 years ago, but but it's not the journey otherwise, is it?
No, exactly. So this is this year for you. So it's remembering that your Jupiter, which is a key aspect of growth, abundance, expansion, opportunity, everything that makes you want to go, I want to shout this from the rooftops because it's so good and I want everyone to know. Good. This is the year that everyone will want to know this from you. Okay.
Good. Right. Imposter syndrome gone.
Exactly. When you said imposter syndrome, I'm like, not this year. No.
Oh.
Yeah, and this Taurus, it's all about bringing everyone back into, or rather, they're going to bring themselves back into, but you are here to activate and go large on that, coming back into our own safety on Earth, our own security, our own financial security, and how we see our value, hold our worth. We are the golden girls. Yeah, like Persephone, like the daffodil, like the little cactus. We have the gold.
It's already in us. We just need to unlock it.
Yeah. And also, which is really, it's like the universe planted these here as though this is the script, just go read it. Okay. So Uranus is the planet of enlightenment and the higher octave of Mercury. So it's when we have our throat chakra activated, but at this higher level. So here with the 8th chakra. So it's like this energy center connection. So it's what's the bridge, what's the light that's coming in, and how do we transmute that into the messages we bring to earth? Because we could sit there meditating on a mountaintop and know it all and then not tell anyone, but there would be no point in that, would there?
No, that for me feels like channeling, which is a little bit what I do with, well, was what I do with my meditations, the live meditations that I do. It's literally just trust and channel whatever comes up.
Well, that will feel very important for you this year, I think. And if we take a look at this really supportive flowing blue triangle going on here, these are all of the outer planets. So Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune are all allowing this positive flow of energy between them. So here between Uranus and Pluto, you have a trine, and then it's there are 2 sextiles to Neptune, the planet of universal love. So I think this year you could expect to be bringing more collective messages to people, and they will be coming through in the area of Taurus. So self-worth, body, Mother Earth. It's all of the things that you already are designed to work on, and I'm getting ringing in the ears as though the mothership's saying yes.
You've got that now, have you? Right. Yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
It's also just when that will happen as well, because I feel like I'm here with it, but it's quiet. It's like, okay, what's my aligned action to?
Yeah. Okay. So all right, so in terms of timing, I actually prefer to use transits, but that's just me. Now, there are methods to calculate what planets are doing what in each month on the solar return. I know the theory behind it. I happen to find it not very reliable. So because I don't find it reliable, I don't like to give those messages.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe by someone else who does find it reliable, it would work, but I don't. So I would actually be looking, and whilst we're still on your solar return chart, having your moon and Mars here in Virgo, I very much see you as having this Virgo body connection. There's an earth body connection for you. This is coming through your 10th house this year. So having moon and Mars, that's moon, your emotions, and for you, you feel your power center in your sacral connected with your Mars. Now, Mars is the planet of taking action. So you will want to take supportive aligned action on what's coming through intuitively through your body feminine energy. The only caveat to this is it's opposite your Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of where we feel like we have to put hard work in, keep learning our lessons. Everything takes time. So I'm just going to say, don't be too frustrated if you think, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been through this a million times before. I don't want any more energy holding me back. I'm giving you that 2023 to 24 kind of a little bit of a caveat to say Saturn is still operating here. And it's operating actually in the area of the 4th house, which is home, family, and your immediate kind of soul connections in a grounded family sense. So it might be that feels like it holds you back, and that could be anything. That could literally be like, oh my gosh, we don't have to move house, do we? It could be on that level, or it could be, I feel like I've done this work before, family member. Am I repeating myself? Could be that.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I'm there. It's like, we're here again. How many more times do I have to express my wishes? These are my boundaries. These are my healthy boundaries. Please, will you honor these, respect these, so we can have a healthy relationship? Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's Saturn all over, because Saturn is the planet that has the rings around it. So boundaries are like, having to draw those lines in the sand again and again and again, and those energetic boundaries again and again. Yeah. Because Saturn is like the archetypal father figure, and Saturn is like, I create your boundaries, and we have to go, oh no you don't, I create my boundaries.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And that does feel like a journey I'm on, is about, which is about truth and expression, is the boundary. But also I think as well I've learned is the energetic boundaries through intention.
Yes.
And thought, and whatever the subconscious is creating without me knowing. That's what I'm feeling right now for that.
Yes. And just to be aware that that balance is never easy. And wherever we see an opposition, that's like an energy that we have to balance within ourselves. So it will be coming up for us. Other people might not even notice or pay heed, but it will feel like it's playing out for you. So it's that Saturn drawing lines, creating your boundaries, stating your truth again. Feel like I've been here 100 times, but I'm going to say it for the 100th and first and second. And yeah, like that. That will be playing out in the 4th house, home, family. And then opposite to that, your moon and Mars are going, let's go, career. I'm here for the body perspective on the whole global consciousness awakening. Come on, everyone.
Excellent. Now, yeah.
So it's the flavor of the energy, and you will keep kind of coming back to that. If we're looking for a timed perspective on other things, one thing that I would recommend for you, and that I will recommend to everyone, which is why I'm saying it on this video, is be really conscious of where the sun is. My best friend is the sun. I know that you're like all over the moon and Venus, but I'm masculine. I'm like all over the sun, a sun worshipper. I track what's going on with the sun each month. And what I would really recommend is just print yourself out your own chart like this. So for you, print this out. And when the sun is moving through Cancer, so this time of year, just really pay attention to 7th house issues. So really pay attention to the people who you see as equals in your life. Pay attention to your one-to-one clients. See what's coming up in the Cancerian energy for you and how that plays out in your 7th house. So this is my number one tool for personal development with astrology. And then when the sun moves into Leo, you will be going 8th house. Okay, what are the 8th house issues playing out? And how do I, as Gemma, bring Leo flavor to 8th house issues, which is shared ownership, shared ownership of resources, shared stuff. So it's where we merge with another. So back to sex again, because when you have sex, emerging on the body, physical, emotional, spiritual. It's like every form of merging. That's why it's so important to have the correct partner. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And it's interesting how this Cancer is about equals. So it's about understanding you as individuals, but equally, but then how you then interact.
Yeah, and you will be, you'll be noticing how you interact together and go deeper in those bonds in a Leo type way. So that's when your fire comes out. And that's when you step into your queen energy. So I don't know what it's like to have Leo in the 8th, because I have Gemini in the 8th. So I know what it's like to talk about these things because it's Gemini. But you will be like, right, okay, 8th house, here's where I step into my queen courage energy. And then when sun moves into Virgo, you'll be going, okay, I'm still going through a bit of 8th house stuff here. Then we move into the 9th house of spirituality. And it's just really tracking your solar year for yourself. And it's such a powerful thing.
That feels to me really quite a good way of bringing your intentions into it, of all the self-care work that I do, to go, this is what's coming up with me. Let's look at the light of it. Let's look at the shadow of it. And where does that sit in my subconscious? Where's it in my unconscious body? So I can keep bringing all those healing aspects through with that intention. to
Yes,
heal and to be the light version of it. Okay.
absolutely. I have a whole file when I teach depth work through astrology. I have a whole file, a lever arch file, split up into 12, and it's every house. And I just go to that house and I do my next level journaling. Now that the sun is in Cancer, going through my 9th house, I go to my 9th house and I'm like, now what is this bringing? What is this bringing? Age 45. Yeah. So each season, just when I feel the need, not as a task, but when I feel intuitively, I feel like I'm ready to know myself on the next level. And what
Okay.
also am I getting rid of? And it just goes into that section of the file.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant way of doing it. And it just feels to me that if I can bring my energy into that area, it's rather than me trying to drive the handbrake still on because I'm trying to go somewhere else. It's actually let's, and it just gets me into the flow.
Exactly. It's being in the flow of what the sun is bringing light to earth as anyway. So it's almost like if we see the sun as being the radiant activator of the light that already exists inside you, what is the flavor of what it's bringing? And then we build up that knowledge by going, okay, Uranus is there as well, or whatever's going on, and we add in our planets, and then we go, oh, I see what's happening. So, for example, 2 years ago, it came up on my memories, 2 years ago, I recorded like a sort of channeled what's going on now. The sun is in Cancer. And it was that you could see it, I could feel some similarities as to then and now, but also at the moment, we've had quite a lot of planets in Leo. So this month, we've got Sun going into Cancer, but there's also Mars and Venus and Lilith going on in Leo, supersizing our need to really roar.
That's the shadow feminine, isn't it? The Lilith, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the dark feminine coming through there in Leo is like the feminine is going, hear me roar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bringing up that feels that equal power. It's matched. Yeah.
We all have the invitation to balance that within ourselves.
Completely. And I see that everything is about the masculine and the feminine, and it just gets translated in. It could be the sympathetic nervous system to your parasympathetic nervous system. It's the dance between the two. It's not one or the other. Both have to exist in a higher form for us to be where we're at. So
Yeah.
exciting. That's lovely. Thank you for this. This is
You're
amazing.
so welcome. I mean, we could talk for hours, but I think that feels like it wraps things up in a really nice way for what wanted to be expressed through both of us today. So
And
I
I
would,
think what you do is, I mean, when I had my reading with you before, it was literally about confirmation for me. It was really about everything you're doing, you're on the right track. This is what you're meant to be, which is just great for reassurance for myself and go, okay, I am listening to my soul. I am going through my heart and then having that, what's happening for me this year. So if there are delays, they're not delays, they're simply divine timing, and you just don't get frustrated about it. Don't go into ego mode of I'm not worthy, and just recognize that, so that doesn't play up and block me and reduce my energy again. So that's really, really helpful.
yes, good. I'm glad that's been helpful. And it is true because you know what? We all have Saturn in our charts somewhere at all times. Something is slamming the brakes on somewhere in our lives all the time. And it's for a reason so that we can say, let's just have a look at that. Where do I still need to draw that line? Where do I still need to learn that lesson? What is still there? What's the golden nugget that I can go dive in for?
Yeah, and what's creating resistance, which
Yeah.
again is like that handbrake. And for me, resistance is heat, inflammation, disease. And it's kind of, you can take that from many levels, so that's energetically, spiritually creating a resistance for you, but it'll be showing up for you in your body. And it depends what comes up first. So you recognizing it energetically so it doesn't become the physical so much, or do you come from the physical to go, what the hell is happening to me? Oh, now it expands back out to what's happening energetically.
Yes. Yeah, I really love how you bring the body perspective. It's felt lovely to be able to speak in this way, bouncing things backwards and forwards. And I love to hear your perspective from.
Oh, brilliant. I think we were our own little yin and yang.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you so much. I will end the recording there, and thank you to everyone who has watched today. Feel free to contact either myself or Gemma, and we will leave our contact details below.
Thank